Do you want to play piano like the legendary Billy Joel?
Sing us a song, you're the piano man. Forever, these are the days. Place in the world for the angry young man with his working class ties and his radical plan.
Well, in today's lesson, I'm going to show you what I think are the 7 most iconic Billy Joel piano intros. And I'm going to break down the techniques that Billy Joel uses in each intro to get that signature Billy Joel sound. All right, intro number 1 comes from a song released in 1977 on Billy Joel's album, The Stranger. I just love this intro. And this intro is actually played on a Fender Rhodes keyboard, so it's not technically a piano intro, although you could play it on a piano and it would still sound great. And this is such a cool intro because he's sitting on this chord. It's called a D5. It's like a D major, but we're taking the 3rd out of the chord. And then what he's doing is he's changing his chords on the right hand on top of this left hand chord. And so what it does is it creates what's called a pedal point. A pedal point means we stay on the same root note, but we change chords on top of that. So he goes to this chord, and this is the beautiful chord he plays. It's called a G minor 6, okay? It's like a G minor, but we're adding the 6 to it, okay? So he hits this chord, and then he does this, okay? Basically, he's going to a G major here, and then he's going to a G add 2, or a G sus2, which is a really cool chord. It's kind of like a G major, but he puts the A in there, okay? And then he repeats it, right? G minor 6, and then same thing, and then he starts the tune. All right, before I teach you intro number 2, if you're enjoying the video, please hit the like button. And if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe for more videos just like this. All right, intro number 2 comes from the same album, The Stranger, released in 1977. Oh, what another classic Billy Joel intro. All right, this intro is super hip because he's using some really big chords. And it gives that classic sound. We've got these big root notes on the bottom. It's just a really hip sound. So to start, he's actually playing some very simple chords. He's starting on an F chord, and then he's going to a G minor 7 chord, and then he plays a C7 chord, and then he ends with like a B flat major chord over an F chord, and then he goes to his F chord, and then he does a quick little C7. Okay, so the chords are actually not very hard to play, but what makes it sound super cool is the way he fills in the chords. Check out the first measure. Okay, he's basically taking his F chord, he's hitting his first chord, playing some 6ths down the F major scale, okay? Then he fills in, and then the G minor chord, he's just playing a little melody there. Ba-ba-da-bum, you see that? Okay, and then he fills in, and then this is super cool. Check this out. Okay, this is the magic of this intro. He goes to that C7 chord, and then he hits these huge 4-note chords, and it gives it this very grandiose sound, okay? So C7, big C major chord, he hits it again, goes to like a big B flat major chord, and then a little F passing chord, and then he ends it, right? That's just a big B flat major chord over F, right? F chord. He's gonna fill here on an F chord. He's just arpeggiating the notes of the chord. You see that? And then C, right? So he's just filling the notes of each chord. All right, intro number 3 comes from the same album released in 1977, The Stranger. So this album is packed full of very iconic Billy Joel intros. Let's give it a listen. This intro is very unique because it has this very sad, kind of haunting sound to it. This intro is super unique, and I would say it's one of Billy Joel's most unique intros because it uses some very unorthodox chords that you typically would not hear in pop music. So look at the first chord. This is a B flat augmented chord. It's like a B flat with a raised fifth, and then look at our next chord. What the heck is this chord? Well, this is called an A flat 13 with a flat 5, okay? Not a typical chord you'll see in pop music, but it sounds so good on this tune, okay? Look at our next chord. Ooh, what chord is this? This is an A diminished 7 chord, okay? So again, a lot of diminished chords, chords with flat 5s, not very common chords. And then we have, ooh, that's nice resolution. This is like an E flat major chord. Then we have, ooh, this is a beautiful chord. This is called an E flat minor 6, right? It's like that, but the G flat is in the bass, okay? So that's a really nice technique, okay? And then we have, okay, that's a nice F7 chord. It's a 5 chord, and it gets you back to the root chord, which is B flat major. Another really cool thing about this intro is how Billy Joel uses chord inversions to create a really melodic bass line. And if you look at the bass line, we start on a B flat, and then it goes down to an A flat, okay? And then it goes up to an A, okay? And then it goes up to a B flat, okay? And so he's actually creating a little melody on the bottom. Bum, 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 bum. And it gives this particular intro a very cool, characteristic Billy Joel sound. All right, intro number 4 comes from a song also from The Stranger, but it was released the following year in 1978. It's the third of 4 singles. And this intro is super cool because it uses some really big chords, so it has a very grand sound to it. This intro is very unique because it evokes a bell sound at the piano. And you can get this bell sound from second inversion chords. So if you take like an F like this is a root position chord, first inversion, second inversion. And so what he does is he takes this chord and he just moves it up and down the piano in parallel motion. And it has a really cool sound to it, okay? So he has a C in the bottom, he's playing an F, like a big G chord over the C, big A minor chord over the C, and then he brings it down. And he does end here on a C chord to resolve it, little passing chord on the G, and then he has, there's this F chord, okay, again, second inversion chord, right, G, there's my G chord, I'm gonna go change the root note, and I'm back to my C chord. Okay, and then he goes to an F chord, same thing in the right hand, there's my C chord, little passing chord, and then finally, and we end on a G chord. By the way, if you want to learn more about how to play in the pop piano style, just like Billy Joel, we've put together the full-length pop piano learning track over at pianowithjohnny.com. And in this learning track, you'll learn everything that you need to know about pop piano, including pop chords, pop piano accompaniment. You'll learn how to improvise in this style. You'll learn two-hand coordination in the pop piano style and how to play pop piano like different artists. We have the beginner to intermediate and intermediate to advanced learning tracks, so I'll put a link to both of those below. All right, intro number 5 comes from a song released in 1978 on Billy Joel's album 52nd Street. What a classic Billy Joel intro. Now this intro is actually played on both a piano and a keyboard, but I'm just gonna go ahead and play the full intro on the piano. You could play it on either instrument. This intro starts with this very driving D octaves on the bottom. I love this sound, really establishes the groove, and then we come in with these cool chords. Oh, so classic. It's basically like a G major, D major, G major, kind of like an E minor 7, and then back to D, okay? And that just keeps repeating. Okay, we're gonna do this 3 times. Okay, 3rd time it changes. Ooh, this is hip. It's like a D6 down to a D9, okay? And then this is a very hip chord, kind of comes out of nowhere, right? This is called a C9, okay? And this brings us to our F13 chord. This is called an F13 with a sus4, okay? So it's like, that's the chord. It's a beautiful chord, actually. And then we end here on an F7 and finally back down to our B flat. He does a little walk down, super cool, and then he repeats the same line. Except here, he does a really cool octave effect. He's just grabbing some high G's there. And then same chord as before. There's my F7 chord to B flat, and then he does a walk up into the D chord to start the tune. Now, one thing that makes this intro very interesting is that he actually kind of changes keys during the intro. You may not have noticed it, but we started in the key of D, right? And then he goes to this C chord. It's a C9. It's not a chord that you normally have in the key of D. And then this brings us to an F chord, and then we resolve to a B flat chord. So it kind of feels like we temporarily go to the key of B flat, and then we're back to D major. And this makes this Billy Joel intro very interesting. All right, intro number 6 comes from a song released in 1973, arguably one of Billy Joel's most famous tunes ever, and the album has the same name as the song. Hearing this song, you're probably wanting to sing along. This is Piano Man, and it starts with a very hip, kind of jazzy intro. Okay, this is like a D minor 7 chord. It's coming up like an A minor 7 chord, and then coming chromatically down. Okay, and then this is pretty hip. Right? It's like a D diminished chord. Little chromatic line, all chromatic, and then ends on a G, okay? And then you have the harmonica come in with the piano. Oh, super classic. So he's actually playing these chords, very simple chords, and he's walking down the piano, okay? So first chord is like a C chord, and then next chord is an E minor. See that? And then an F chord. See that? Right hand's playing a lot of thirds, right? This is a C chord with a G in the bottom. Then he has, okay, simple F major chord, right? C major, E on the bottom, and then D chord, really nice, and then back to his G chord, okay? And for this one, you can play a G7, right? And then he repeats the same thing. And then he changes the line a little bit at the end. He goes F, and then really beautiful. You see these chords F, C, and this is like a D minor. And then he finally ends the intro with this classic walk-up. Oh, so hip, okay? C major, walking it up, right? F major, walking it up. We're gonna skip the A and come back down. Then the C major 7. Ooh, that is beautiful. You see this one? Kind of open fifths here, and then very hip. This is like an F major, C major, and a D minor 7 over C. Okay, and then we repeat the same thing, walking it up, right? C major, and then same thing. And then we start the tune. All right, the final intro. This is number 7, and it is last but not least. It's a beautiful intro. It comes from Billy Joel's album Turnstiles, released in 1976. What a classic intro, and this is one of Billy Joel's longest piano intros, and it's really cool because he sets up the tune with kind of a unique intro, but instead of singing right away, he actually plays through the melody on the piano before he starts singing, and so it just has a really cool classic sound to it. Okay, for this intro, he starts, and he comes into a D minor 9 chord. See that? And then, kind of jazzy, right? It's called the turn. And then this guy, love this chord. This is called a B flat 13 sus 4. Love this chord. And then he goes, okay? And then he does this little walk up. It's basically like a D minor 9 chord. It's like an E minor 7, F major, D minor 9, and then finally, he's got this beautiful G9 sus 4. This is a chord he likes to use a lot. Plays it a second time, and then he comes in with the melody. Ah, super cool. So he's starting on a C chord, right? Coming up to a C chord, little thirds. This is an E chord, see that? And then he does this little chromatic walk down, see that? And then A minor, this is a G minor 7, kind of a jazzy chord. C7, and then the next line. Okay, so he's basically starting on an F chord, big F chord here, and then A7, very hip chord, and then little chromatic line to D minor, see that? And then he comes down to a B flat 7 chord, once again, very jazzy chord. See a little walk down, and then the next line. Oh, one of my favorite parts of this intro, C chord. This is an E7 with a sharp 9, little walk down here. And then to my A minor. Oh, love that little suspended notes there. You see that one? And then C major 7 over G. And then, ooh, very hip. Okay, so F, the slide, and then, okay, it's like a C minor over E, kind of interesting chord. And then very hip jazzy chord, D9, okay? And then he does a little line. Beautiful. It's like a D13 chord. Okay, moving on. Okay, it's an F chord. Okay, F add 2, and then we'll slide. Okay, oh, I love this chord. This is a G9 sus 4 with a slide down. And then very hip. Ooh, very nice. I right? A minor 7 into a D9. We have a little response line. See that? It's kind of on an A minor. And then A minor, G major. Okay, for this guy, it's called a G9 sus4, right? Over G, and then a little roll in to my C chord. Hey, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the lesson, and if you did, please leave a comment. Also, be sure to check out pianowithjonny.com. We have over 1,000 step-by-step lessons for all playing levels, where you'll learn your favorite songs, styles, and how to improvise at the piano. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.